Alright, here we go. Welcome back to, well, basically, we'll continue from the last video. So, we're picking up left off last video. We're still talking about Robin's search of a hero, where in the first part we discussed the first two issues collecting his trade. Now let's discuss the remaining 6 issues. Actually, more like 7. Yeah, the search for hero storyline, which takes a few issues. Mostly put this debut's new costume for Tim that he would get in the relaunch of this book. So, mostly put for these issues, it's kind of dealing with a little bit. It's basically you have where on the cover of this issue here, we have the date. We have don't see the full cow here, but yeah, that's the Red Robin costume. Yes, I'll talk more about this. I'll talk about Red Robin, which that's going to place this, by the way. So basically, Tim is just beating up bad guys, working with Stephanie, and it seems as though, like, by the way, in these issues, his relationship with the new girl who debuted issue 150, it's over, completely over. As soon as this book wraps up, she's never seen again. Not that I know of, anyways. Nope. Then Jason Todd shows up. Yes, Jason Todd, willing to bring freaking guns. Yep. So, yeah. So you have Tim beating people up and running into... There's this guy running around with this suit. And of course, Stephanie, her whole thing as a storyline, she's doing something that Batman requests her to do. And Tim is not exactly very happy with it. And the tagline of the 170 is the end draw, isn't it? Which, yeah, it is. So, by the way, here's a little fun fact. This was publishing about 2 years prior to me starting reading DC comic. I think it came out in 2008. Because remember I started this in October 2010. So it was about a year prior to... yeah, it was about a year, about let's say, okay, October 2008, that's why it came out in September. So roughly about 2 years, these issues came out. So, in these issues, by the way, Search the Hero, I think it's like just 4 parts, I believe it is. I think it wraps up, I think like 180 or 181, I think it was. Because there's this guy running around with the Red Robin costume. Okay, so it wraps up with issue 193. So, we also run into Ragman. Ragman. He pops up here too in this story. Why is he here? Well, I was supposed to point out, though, that this storyline leads into Battle of the Cowl. Yeah, that's simply put what this storyline is. It leads directly into that. So, spoil plans. And then 179, we debut a new Lynx. Yes, 179, we debut a brand new Lynx. The original one died in the opening issue of the Wanted story arc. Yep. Yeah, this is the debut of this one here. There's also two characters. Jaeger. Jaeger is an old Chuck Dixon villain that for some reason that the Caesar brought back for these issues. Yes. Though he only pops there for the last 2 issues of this book. 2 of these issues of the storyline. He had last appeared he only appeared in 2 issues Chuck Dixon wrote, and then of course Dixon left not long after that. His next 2 appearances, 110, That was done by John Lewis. 118 is done by, also by Joe Lewis as well. So he's had 3 different writers. Yeah. There's also this woman named Scarab who pops in these issues here. Yes. The new Lynx, who this woman is, don't know. They never identify who this new Lynx is, except that she's the successor to the original one. Scarab is... What in the world? Scarab is a... His real name is like... Her real name is like Maddie... Oh my gosh, seriously. Maddie Shadid. Yeah, it's an Egyptian who's appearing in these issues here. Yeah, somehow somebody's been downloading. I gotta stop this. Come on. Oh my freaking god. Thank you. Anyways, yes. She was a creation of Bill Willingham, and she's brought back here for these issues. Yeah. Yeah, she was. She last appeared when Bill Willingham wrote the book, and she appears in 3 of these issues, and then she returns in Red Robin right after this. Yep. So by the end of this, we find out who the new Red Robin is. It's the former general, who is no longer a child. Yeah. He was also Anarchy at one point. Yep. That's kind of the main villain of the story, is basically who is this Red Robin. It's the former general. Ulysses Hadrian Armstrong. Who was the general. Yes, so... Who had grown up. He had been aged up. I'm not sure why in the world this was. I'm glad the fact that they had him where he was like the final villain to Tim's run for the ongoing series. Yeah, I'm kind of glad they did it because I like this character. Dixon had basically created this character specifically for Tim. Now, in the storyline Watchtower, it was supposed to be an aged-up version of the General who was brought back there. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, I do like this character. At one point he was Anarchy, but that's something else. So, he takes the costume and was like, oh, it's the General. And then he becomes Anarchy. Yep. And then, like, Tim takes the costume from him and he becomes Red Robin. Yeah, and then, by the way, the penultimate issue, it's all about Anarchy, part of the whole Faces of Evil stuff. Yeah, then pretty much with the final issue, Tim is part of the whole Last Rites, which basically is the final issue of the series. So, Tim tells Stephanie that he still loves her, but they can't work together anymore as partners in crime fighting. So he requests that she stop being spoiler. And then long afterwards, she became Batgirl. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she became Batgirl. Yeah, she becomes Batgirl long after this, and of course Tim becomes Red Robin and stays as Red Robin even after New 52 relaunch. He stays Red Robin until like I think it was like, well, he did get a new costume in 52, but here's my honest opinion. I actually like the Robin costume. The Red Robin costume, yes. Now, of course, yes, book relaunched as Red Robin. As a matter of fact, when I got into reading DC Comics fully, this was the series going at the point, not this one, sadly. Ended knowing after me getting into it, and then we didn't have a Robin book for several years. The next day, a Robin book wasn't until Robin Son of Batman in 2015. So I should point out, though, that was 4 years after Red Robin got canceled. But one of my final thoughts on... By the way, this whole storyline is really... I love this storyline. I give it roughly a 9 out of 10. Final thoughts on Robin Volume 4. I'd say the first... Like, if you want to think of the best issues of this series, it's the Chuck Dixon stuff. I love the Chuck Dixon stuff. That stuff is amazing. And then, of course, DC decided to screw him over by doing stuff he wanted to do with the title, like having Tim be replaced by Stephanie. When he saw the cover of issue 101, he felt as though that was middle finger to him for daring to suggest him take over Blue Beetle briefly and then come back to the character. Of course, the later did it in continuity, which, of course, when he saw that as, oh, Tim basically quits for like, no reason. Well, his father found out he was Robin in the Unmasked story arc, mind you. And all that did was lead into War Drums, War Games, which is a very controversial story arc. What it was is this massive mob story arc, which the only thing that came out was the fact that, oh, Black Mass is the leader of the crime, and they kill off Orpheus, which that gets a minor thing. But the biggest problem people have with this story, even Chuck Dixon probably this too, was the killing of Stephanie Brown. I kind of agree with Chuck on this. I think a lot agree with people with Chuck on this too. Killing off Stephanie Brown in this story arc was a mistake on the part of DC Comics, which of course Chuck Dixon decided to fix that as soon as he came back to the company. But the first book he did was doing Gotham Underground, which basically you should have her pop up, and then she pops up in this book here in Chuck Dixon's only returns issues he ever did for the book, and then he was fired for no reason. He said his freaking podcast, like, he was fired from this book for no reason. He was never good reason why. It just said he was fired after only 5 issues and doing 10 issues of Batman the Outsiders, which the book was amazing on him. So, aside from Chuck Dixon issues, what are really good issues under this era? I would say the post-war game issues I thought were really good. Though I thought the ending was a little weird. The worst writing, the worst set of issues, the issues I wasn't really a big fan of, was the Adam Beechen stuff. I was not a fan of the Adam Beechen at all. I thought that his stuff was... I definitely thought his first arc was basically middle finger to Robin for Cassandra Cain fans. Yes. I may not agree at that point, but I can understand why they were ticked off by this storyline by making her evil and then retconning in Teen Titans that it was a drug. She was drugged by frickin' Deathstroke. I'm like, what the heck? Seriously. Yeah, but I would probably say that these issues are probably up there as really good too. But you're thinking, okay, what about the issues that came between Dixon and Bill Willingham? Hit or miss, mostly. Nothing terrible there. Got good artwork. A lot of the books got really artwork, but some of the books got really awful artwork. I would say some of the issues that written by Bill Willingham, good writing, but really bad artwork. Like, very amateurish. Yeah, but Fred Williams, good choice for artist. The guy's really good here. Yep, so with that, I am done reviewing the Robin series. Not done with reviewing a Robin title per se, because it's still also Red Robin to review. There is something I will talk about when it comes to Red Robin. I talk about the first trade for that one, but it's really big. It's something that I think a lot of people would love to know. So now we're talking about another book Chuck Dixon started, which I am wrapping the issues for it. Birds of Prey. A very short amount of issues for this one. Only 9 issues for this one, kind of like Robin. This one is discussing issues 47 to 55. Now, 47 to 49 is in trade, believe it or not. The Art of Amanda Connor. Yes, because she did the artwork for these issues. And her husband, Jim Hammond, did the inking. Written by Trevor Moore, which I think he's done some stuff here and there. I remember seeing this writer on like I think it was some other stuff. I think it was. Oh, Terry Moore. Let's see. Because I remember seeing his name on some other stuff besides Birds of Prey. Let me take a look on it. Because basically, believe it or not, this is actually one of like 2 books working on DC. The other was Gen 13 Bootleg. Yes, he did a book on Gen 13. He only worked on this book for 3 issues, and then he left. It's called Chaotic Code. It is mostly dealing with Lex Luthor throughout these issues, but I found these issues to be quite interesting. Nothing bad here per se, and then leading into issue 150. Excuse me, 50. Mm-hmm. But yeah, really interesting work that Terry Moore does. Okay, so Rachel Rising. That's what he's known for. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the series he's known for. Rachel Rising. I think it was like one other book he worked on aside from that one. He worked on Strangers in Paradise, Motor Girl, mostly played his own original work, but he only did 3 issues. And then he left. Don't know why he left for, but he did. For the remaining issues is Gabriel Hernandez with Casey Jones in the artwork. You're thinking, wait a minute. Casey Jones. As in the guy who from Team of Ninja Turtles, completely unrelated guy. This is an artist. I met him once in person. It was basically I had him sign an issue of Birds of Prey. He worked on, I think he made one of these issues. He's actually good friends with the artist who the cover artist who did these issues, Phil Noto. I love Phil Noto's artwork. Even he agrees too. He's actually friends with Phil Noto. I'm sure he gets confused with the comic book character from Teen Ninja Turtles. It just got the same name. Yeah. Mostly put is basically Black Canary and Argon Holiday. Like even one point you see, it's like basically these like spy, like very much more spy-ish issues. Like in issue 51, like they had this thing where like they think I killed a moth, but here's the thing. They work with Java to solve this problem where, get this, where Simon Stagg, Star Stagg, and Star's son are become this conglomerate machine, and then it's found out that Java is not Java, but he's actually Metamorpho in disguise. Yes. It's a really interesting story arc. It's revealed in issue 52 this really is Metamorpho. Yeah. It's revealed, of course, a few issues, but it's great. And there's stuff here with them going on vacation in issue 53. And then 54. It's basically continuing with Metamorpho and Nightwing. Which is a follow-up to that issue, of course, you have Felix Faust. And in the final issue, there's this new character in this issue called Doak Tong. Who only appears just in these issues is basically like a kind of in a way he's written to be Barbara's stalker. That's kind of what he is. And he's jealous of the fact that Barbara is dating Dick Grayson over him. That's kind of what he is. He's a stalker. But great issues. Love these issues of Birds of Prey. I give these issues a 9 out of 10. Final thoughts on Birds of Prey Volume 1. Unlike Robin, which had basically hits or misses after Chuck Dixon left, this book actually did pretty well after Chuck Dixon left. Like, Terry Moore had a great 3 issues. Gabriel Hernandez had a great few issues that he worked on. And then you had the lengthy run by Gail Simone. Started issue number 56. She did skip like 1 issue, I think it was, 1 or 2. And then you have Sean McKeever, Tony Bedard. A lot of really good issues. And here's the weird thing about this entire 25 issue run. For some reason, even the non-Chuck Dixon issues on here, like 50-55, they're not in trade. The reason? I don't know what the reason is. It's really weird. It's like maybe there's not a demand for these issues because these are fill-in writers until Gail Simone takes the book. It's possible. But it's like, I'm like in the case with Catwoman, who had like 5 or 6 writers between Ed Breaker and Will Pfeiffer. This book had 2 fill-in writers. And so the book was still really good. Yeah, the book didn't suffer. Robin did. This book did not suffer without Chuck Dixon. This book, I think, was perfectly fine. There was no bad hiccups, per se. I think that Gail Simone practically... I know she brought a lot more attention to the title. Probably because it's a group book compared to what Dixon did, where it's basically kind of like a... You can think of it sort of like a Black Canary solo title, just happened to involve some characters from Batman. Yeah. But, great run. And before I work on Volume 2, there's actually a mini-series I'm going to be discussing. Oracle of the Cure, which came out just after the conclusion of issue 127, which is basically done as a aftermath of Battle for the Cowl. That's next. And then I'll work on Birds of Prey Volume 2. And then that'll be it for the series. Well, with the exception of the current run is. Like, some might be asking, okay, so what's the plan to replace this book? Like, once it's done? Like, when I finish Volume 2? Some might say, what about Legion of Superheroes? That is being set to replace Supergirl with. Yes. Once Supergirl is done, then I'll do Legion of Superheroes. But for this book, I'm not sure yet. I'll decide at some point, okay? But until you see you next video, bye.